Hello. Right, so hi Ciara and welcome from us at Trans Gloucester and Pride in Gloucestershire.
Hi Kate, thank you for the invitation. It's lovely to be here this evening.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, this is just a quick chat to help those watching this bolster their mental health during Trans Awareness Week and in the run-up to the close of the government's call for evidence on the 27th of this month. So Ciara, if you wouldn't mind, could you please start by telling us a little bit about yourself and Mindline Trans Plus?
Okay, so I'm Ciara. I identify as trans female. I am based in the West Country and I am a youth worker for LGBT youth kids who are aged between about 13 and 18 across Somerset and Dorset. But also about 5 years ago, I started volunteering for Mind in Somerset on their out-of-hours emotional helpline. And when I was there, they approached me and asked me to get involved in a project, which we started with and turned into Mindline Trans Plus, which is the only national emotional health support line for the transgender community in the UK. We operate on a Friday night and a Monday night from 8 o'clock till midnight. We do half-hour calls. All our call handlers are either transgender themselves or they're trans allies. And we have now been going for, it'll be 4 years next February. And it's just going from strength to strength. It started off with a project just to cover the 6 counties of the Southwest. It's a joint venture between Mind in Somerset and Mind in Bristol. And we now cover the whole of the UK, and we are taking up, we're busy every night that we go on. So it's great to do it.
Fantastic. Well, we definitely have the right person with us today. Now,
I hope so.
Given that this week can be a wash of hard-hitting statistics, and that in the last week of the 2018 Gender Recognition Act consultation, we saw some very toxic media. What steps can people take to keep good mental health hygiene at this time, considering, of course, that we are already in a state of isolation, so simply turning off your phone may not be an option for everyone?
No, I can understand that. And it's also in this, we kind of look at the bigger picture here rather than just drilling down the moment. We might do that later on in the chat. But the bigger picture is when you're transgender, you feel that it's all very personal. It's all very much, it's me, they're picking on me, and it's not. You don't have to fight every single fight on behalf of the transgender community. You don't have to win every single battle. So allow yourself to step back and go, okay, I'm not going to fight this one, I don't want to fight that one. So you're not drawing attention to yourself, you're not making yourself on edge all the time. So that's one of the key things is at this stage, if there's a lot of negativity around, it's not down to you all the time to fight these fights. It's about looking after yourself. The other thing is not to react. And sometimes it's really hard, but if somebody's put something out there and they've called you every name under the sun, they've misgendered you, they've been really spiteful, they're looking for, they feed on a reaction. So if you don't react, eventually they're going to run out of fuel. It's like fuel for a fire. If you don't feed the fire, it goes out. And it's really hard to do because it's very personal, it's very emotional, and it's very raw. But they're the things we would do. Kind of find your own support network. As I said, that is crucial to all of this, and it is to find your support network. If you've had a bad call or a bad experience or something, you want to be able to pick up the phone to a friend or pick up a call and just say, are you there? Can you just listen for a couple of times? I just want to talk. I've had this really bad experience. I just want to sound it out. That's going to make the difference. If you have your own support network, you're going to feel validated. You're going to feel safe. And you can kind of go, I know there's all this stuff going on around me, but here, right now, I've got my friends here. I'm loved, I'm cared for, and that's the important bit. So it's very general at this stage, but it's kind of important. And realize it's not admitting defeat, just take a step back. It's allowing yourself to recharge, allowing to pick your moments. And there's the big thing people say, oh, come off social media and stuff like that. And as I said, well, it is a massive thing, social media. People believe they have to do instant reaction, and you don't. Coming off social media has to be at this moment, especially during the topics that are going on at the moment and during these lockdowns and isolation, coming off social media has to be one of the biggest advices we would give from Mind, is to say, come off it. I don't mean as in cut yourself off and become a Luddite. That I just mean come off it. It don't have to be there. You don't have to have instant recognition. You don't have to have instant responses. And people think they do in this world, that they have to be able to respond immediately 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't. So take a step back is what we'd advocate on this occasion.
Absolutely. And you can always, take away your Facebook, for example, but you can keep your Messenger, so you can still keep in touch with your friends. It's just taking away that exposure, doesn't it? It takes away the things from the people who really aren't your friends.
They're not.
And those are the things you don't really want to see.
No, and you have to remember that is they have got, they feel as passionate about their subject as you do about yours. And so you're not going to convert these people. You're not going to change them. And they love a fight. They want to step over it because it validates for them how they feel. You see, I'm right, you're proving this, you're doing that. Don't give them the fuel. If they're only shouting at themselves or on their own line, they're just spouting hot air. Step back. That's what we would that's what we would say.
Fantastic. Thank you. Now, are there any tips you can offer for those supporting a trans person who might be struggling with their mental health?
Yeah, there's always support you can do. The biggest and the most important thing you can do is to listen, is just to be there, not to tell them what to do or not to say, oh, you should do this, you should do that. The nicest thing you can do for somebody who is struggling their mental health sometimes is invite them for a cup of tea. Now, I know we're in lockdown, which is very difficult, but we can still meet outside. You can still go to a park bench. You're allowed to go and meet on a park bench now, which you weren't in the first lockdown. Just meet somebody for coffee. Give them the opportunity to listen. But if you're in a relationship with somebody and they are struggling with their trans and they don't know what to do, is allow them the opportunity to express themselves, however small. An example would be is if somebody is in a hostile environment where they are transgender, but they're not supportive in the environment with their parents or their partners are not supportive, is to do something for yourself that means important to you. And on this occasion, for example, if somebody says trans female, paint your toenails. You'll have your socks on. Nobody will see them, but you'll feel that amazing. It's just a small little thing, is to do something like that, because you're doing and validating your own self and your own existence, and it's your own little protest and stuff. So it's small little things like that, is just spend time with them, curl up and watch a movie that's relevant to them, as opposed to watching something, I watch this movie, curl up and watch something that they want to see. Allow them to know that they can be safe and just be a listening ear. So most importantly is if they're struggling, and signpost them and say, they signpost them to their local LGBT services or to us or to other organizations, and just say, have you tried phoning, talking to somebody? And just being signposted. They said, because we understand on the line, we get people who phone up and they might spend the first 20 minutes in tears because they've never spoken to anybody before. And it's kind of like that. Allow them, encourage them, and just say, well, look, I found this. Why don't you give it a try? And then give them the space to do it. Don't just say, well, I'll sit here and listen while you do it. Just say, there's the number. If you want to call them. I'll be upstairs.
It's amazing how much of a barrier that can be, can't it? We find that often it's when people kind of give almost permission for you to reach out and say, well, it's okay for you to call a line, or it's okay for you to join a group. I'm not going to be upset by that because I'm not going to have the same experiences that you are, but these other people might. So it's hugely important that that people do have that kind of almost like verbal permission to go ahead and
well, because so much of their if you're transgender, a lot of your time is spent hiding or lying to yourself or lying to others and being so for somebody to turn around and say, no, it's fine, it's cool, off you go and do it, it's kind of like, are you sure, are you real? But it makes such a difference. I'm not hiding anymore, I'm open about it. And we're supporting a lot of young people who are absolutely struggling because they can't be out. They're in a transphobic environment. And, the only chance they can be themselves is when they come through to a certain helpline where they can present as who they are. Allowing someone to present, even for 30 minutes, as who they are supposed to be, well, it can save lives. It's as simple as that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Now, if I was to ask you for your top 5 self-care tips during periods of isolation like this, with what would they be? I mean, you have already touched on a few things there, but you know, if you have your top 5 self-care tips, what would those be?
Okay, my top 5 are all going to be small things. They're all going to be things that is going to sound a bit silly, okay? Because a lot of people are told, oh, do art or do creative stuff or go out. You know, not all of us are able to hold a crayon or a paintbrush or anything. You know, it's like we don't do it. Some of us don't get it at all. The top 5 things is, first and foremost, has to be music. And I have to say, there's a certain type of music you don't listen to. Don't listen to ballads and they're all waily and ones like that, because they only just bring it down. But I said, if you want the absolute best music, if you're feeling a bit low, and don't laugh at me, is ABBA's greatest hits. It is impossible to be down and to be down if you've got ABBA's greatest hits on, no matter who you are. Put it on loud, Dancing Queen, Mamma Mia, or whatever it is. It should be part of any mental health first aid thing, is ABBA's Dancing Queen. So that's one. So that's going to be as simple as that. Put on some good upbeat music, not repetitive stuff, not stuff that you go clubbing to, something that you can sing out and have a laugh to. The other thing is to be comfortable, to be safe. Curl up with a book, no matter how insignificant it is. Curl up with a book underneath your blanket and just read. Just chill. Allow yourself the permission to do this. We don't always have to be doing things. So that would be, you know, the second thing. Meet a friend. We mentioned it earlier. Phone somebody up. I'm struggling. Can you just meet me for such and such? Even if it's for tea. Go for a walk. They're telling us now we can walk wherever we want to walk. We can go out. So you can go to the park. You can even go window shopping if you wanted to. And to allow, and I can remember this, I can remember the first time as a trans woman being able to stand in front of the shop windows and stare at the outfits and say, I could wear that, I could be that for the first time. But to go with a friend and say, what do you think of this, or what do you think of that? Or to do it online. It's a simple, stupid thing. Curl up with your laptop together with your friends and say, look, I want to do this for shopping, I want to do such and such. What do you think? You don't have to buy the stuff. I'm just saying you start to visualize, you start to do something good for yourself. Again, another simple thing. Don't be grabbing quick meals. Don't be going for your pot noodle and your roasted meat. Cook. The joy of cooking is just amazing. And if you're in a relationship with somebody, the joy of sharing it. It's a simple process, but you actually start to fill the house with warmth, with the nice smells, with the aromas. You know, it's just wonderful. You know, that's a thing to do. And exercise. And we all say, yeah, we'll do this. I don't mean run a marathon. I don't mean take up high-end impact sports or anything like that. Is go for a walk. If you can borrow a dog, and there are certain places that you allow you to borrow a dog and take a dog for a walk. If you have an elderly neighbor who can't walk the dog anymore, take that out. The greatest listener you will ever find is a dog. They will love you for who you are, no matter who you are. They will walk for hours. So long as you're out and chatting to them, they don't care. They'll wag their tail. They'll come back to you. They are the greatest thing going. So out for a walk in your local park, your local area with the dog. You'll come back with a smile on your face. But more importantly, you'll have done some energy and you'll be relaxed and stuff like that. And my final tip, I've probably gone over to 5, but my final tip is a single square of dark chocolate. And don't laugh, okay? Because if it worked for Harry Potter and the Dementors, it worked for us, okay? And you can edit that bit out if you want to. But it's something that lifts you. It lifts the serotonin. So I don't mean a whole bar of chocolate, but a single square of dark chocolate will lift you in your spirits and your mood. Combine all 5 of them together. Suddenly your afternoon doesn't look so bleak, doesn't look so bad. How does that?
Thank you so much, Ciara. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. And you've given us some really good tips and some, you know, brilliant food for thought. And ABBA will stick with me for the rest of this evening. So, you know, thank you again, and it's been a real pleasure. Now, we're going to include some details of Mindline Trans Plus at the end of this video, so please reach out should you need to. And remember that no matter how things might seem right now, that you're not alone. Thank you for watching, and take care.
Thank you.